He was sitting in his car outside a grocery store, too embarrassed to go inside because his card had just been declined for $43. That was the moment Ethan almost gave up on everything he had ever worked for. But what happened next? Just 3 days later, a single phone call would completely rewrite his story. Ethan Webb was 31 years old. He lived in a one-bedroom apartment in Columbus, Ohio. On paper, he looked ordinary. But behind that quiet exterior was a man quietly drowning. 2 years earlier, Ethan had walked away from a steady accounting job. He had a plan, passion, and vision. He was going to launch his own financial consulting business. His friends told him he was brave. His mother told him he was reckless. Turns out they were both right. The business didn't grow the way he imagined. Clients were slow to come. Bills were fast to arrive. By month 18, Ethan had burned through his entire savings. He had maxed out a credit card. And he had borrowed money from his younger brother, David, money he still hadn't paid back. Every single morning, he would look at himself in the mirror and say, "Today will be different." Most days, it wasn't. His routine had become a quiet kind of torture. He'd wake up at 6, make coffee with the last of some bulk grocery brand, sit down at his second-hand desk, and spend hours sending cold emails into what felt like a black hole. No replies, sometimes a polite rejection, mostly silence. He stopped going to his college friends' get-togethers. Not because he didn't want to go, but because someone always asked, "Hey, Ethan, how's the business going?" And he didn't have a good answer anymore. His girlfriend, Priya, was patient, remarkably patient. But one evening, after Ethan snapped at her over something small, she sat across from him at the kitchen table and said quietly, "I'm not going anywhere. But Ethan, you need to let someone in. You've been disappearing." He didn't respond. He just stared at the table. That night, he opened his laptop and he started typing a resignation letter, not to a job, but to his own dream. He was going to shut it all down, call his old firm, ask for his job back. He got halfway through that letter. Then he stopped, closed the laptop, went to bed. He didn't sleep. 3 days later, Tuesday afternoon, his phone rang. Unknown number. Columbus, area code. Ethan stared at it. He almost didn't pick up. He figured it was spam. Another robotic voice trying to sell him something he couldn't afford. His thumb hovered over the red button. He answered anyway. "Is this Ethan Webb?" A man's voice, calm, confident, unhurried. "The Ethan Webb who runs Webb Financial Consulting?" Ethan straightened in his chair. "Yes," he said carefully. "That's me. My name is Gerald Holt. I'm the CFO of Crestline Distribution. Someone forwarded me an article you wrote about mid-market cash flow restructuring, the one you posted on LinkedIn. About 8 months ago. I read the whole thing, twice." Ethan went completely still. He had forgotten about that article. He had written it at 2 in the morning during a sleepless stretch, mostly just to feel productive. We're going through a significant financial restructuring. We don't need a massive firm. We need someone sharp, someone nimble. Honestly, we need someone hungry. Would you be open to a conversation? It wasn't gratitude. It was fear. After he hung up, Ethan didn't celebrate. He paced around his tiny apartment, unable to sit still. What if I'm not ready? What if I embarrass myself? What if they're expecting someone better? What if I fail? Again. He picked up his phone and called David. David answered on the second ring. Ethan explained everything. There was a long silence. Then David simply said, "Man, just go." What's the alternative? Finishing that resignation letter. That night, Ethan sat alone with his fear. Underneath the exhaustion, the doubt, and the shame, he found something still burning. He still wanted this. He always had. He opened his email and typed, "I'm available Thursday." Ethan spent the next 48 hours preparing like his life depended on it. Because it did. He pulled apart Crestline's public financials. He studied their industry inside and out. He built 3 different restructuring frameworks from scratch. He rehearsed his presentation until Priya threatened to sleep in the other room. Thursday came. The meeting lasted 2 hours. Halfway through, Gerald leaned back in his chair, looked at Ethan across the table, and said, "You've clearly lived inside this problem before." Ethan met his eyes. "I have," he said. They didn't offer him the contract that day. 2 more meetings followed. A revised proposal, a counteroffer that almost made him walk away. But he didn't walk away. 6 weeks after that Tuesday phone call, Ethan Webb signed his first major corporate contract. It wasn't the end of hard work. If anything, it was the beginning of harder work. There were late nights that blurred into early mornings, difficult calls, impossible deadlines, moments of doubt that crept back in without warning. But something had fundamentally shifted. Ethan wasn't just surviving anymore. He was building. Within 14 months, Crestline referred him to 2 other companies. He hired his first employee, a sharp young analyst named Chloe. He paid David back every dollar with interest. And one Friday evening, he and Priya sat together on the floor of a brand new office space. Their office, eating pizza straight from the box, laughing about nothing in particular. Here is what Ethan will tell you if you ask him, what was the moment that changed his life? It wasn't the phone call. It was answering it, because he almost didn't. He almost let fear make the decision for him. He almost let exhaustion win. And if he had, Gerald Holt would have called the next person on the list, and Ethan would never have known what he missed. The opportunities that change your life, they rarely arrive looking like opportunities. They arrive looking like risk. They arrive when you're tired, when you feel least ready, when your confidence is sitting somewhere near zero. And that is exactly the moment they test you. Not after, not later. Right there, in that quiet second, when fear says, don't, and something deeper, something truer inside you says, go. So, if you're sitting in your own version of that parking lot right now, card declined, dream fading, wondering if any of it was ever worth starting, Listen closely. Your phone might not ring tomorrow, but one day it will. And when it does, don't let fear answer for you. Pick up. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs it today. And if you're in the middle of your own struggle right now, drop the word Thursday in the comments. So we know you were here. So we know you didn't give up.